Good morning. This is going to be an overview of everything this morning. We have we've done a lot. We're moving things around. We're changing some things and some views and some vistas, and this is what it looks like when I walk out every morning. And y'all, it still just is more than I ever thought that I would have. So this is my old lady garden. I can see this from my kitchen window, and it's succulents and different things, some herbs here, and I'll show you in just a second. And here, that's the bench that came from my mama's house. That just makes me happy, because Brian and I can sit on that bench, and I know that my mom and daddy sat on that bench looking at their garden too. But anyway, let's see what we've got here. And it might be a little long, so hang on. We've cut down a bunch right here because I realized that this bed right in here, that used to be under the oak tree before we lost it, and it was a shade garden, and then we've changed it and it's moved around and it's no longer working. So I have shade again because it's been several years since the oak tree. Things have grown again. So this oak leaf hydrangea is, it was a gift from my daddy years and years ago. And that's the thing that I want to keep right here. And it had started failing, and so we've cut back everything around it to kind of focus on it. And this right here, this liriope, that's John Birch liriope, that came out of my grandmother Lewis's yard in Dawson, Georgia. And after, I think it was my mama's funeral, we went by and visited that house, and I asked the man that owned the house if there was anything that he could give me. And he pulled it up. It was just a little sprig, a little tiny sprig, and I brought it home in a grocery bag with the dirt from my grandmother's home place, and poured the dirt in my home place and planted the liriope. And so now I have some. And that came directly from her house, which means a lot to me. Maybe not to a lot of people, but I'm real big on destiny and family and carrying on traditions and that kind of thing. Here's the working spot. It's a mess, but it's got a lot of pretty that comes out of it. This is eucalyptus. Those were grown from seed, and they're I'm letting them grow a little bit before I put them in the ground. Over here we've got a lemon tree, a Meyer lemon tree, and it does actually have lemons on it this year. And tuberoses, a deodar cedar, some gardenias in a pot that need to be planted, and I have a spot for them this year that I've thought of somewhere. That's part of the gardening, of trying to think of a place to put things that, you know, that they'll have room to grow. This, my friends, is my pea patch. I'm so happy about that. I love a pea patch. And over there are the tomatoes in straw bales. This is where the deodar cedar fell, and they just cleaned it up Friday. Finally, it's been months, and so there's a lot of work that needs to be done in here. But this, where you see the red mud right there, red mud and dirt and everything, I'm going to make a small herb garden because it's close to the house, and I can just run out here and pick herbs because I do like to cook with herbs. That's the deodar cedar I grew from seed, and this is the other part of my garden. That's another pea patch, and I always think of this lady that was just so sweet to me when I was the year after I graduated from high school. Annette Hook, she was just, I don't know, she really touched me. And I can remember eating a meal at her house, eating dinner, supper, with her, and she had crowder peas. And still to this day, and that's been forever ago, they were the best crowder peas I've ever eaten in my life, and I grow them. And I think of her when I do. Wow, it was just, it's a wonderful memory, and I've thought of her for most of my life. So this is really one of my favorite views of the yard, and it was a long time coming. This is what do you call it? Dawn redwood? I think that's right. This was the tree planted when Will, our first grandson, was born, and he will be 18 this year. So that tree is almost 18 years old, and it's a beauty. It really is. It's very, very big, very big. You have to have a lot of space in order to grow one of these. And that's our woods over there. We've worked on cleaning those out, and I think Brian's done a really good job cleaning them out. On the way to the garden, you can see over there is our wood. That's part of it, because we are prepared and constantly preparing in case there's ever a meltdown. We have wood. So this is lavender, and I've weeded that out and planted a pineapple sage back there, because I have found out that if you have a weedy spot and you can plant a pineapple sage, for some reason it grows big enough to smother out the weeds. And I had a real weedy trouble spot in the garden, and I planted pineapple sage. I think I ended up with 3. They were back there in that corner because it was nothing but weeds, and I let them grow there for a couple of years, and I don't have the weed problem that I did. So plant something big that can smother out the weeds, and it might help you get things under control. Okay, garlic and the daylilies are starting to bloom. They're really, really pretty. I'll take you around there, but I'll come from the other direction. This is what I do so much on these videos, are the dahlias. And y'all, wow. Just wow. These were overwintered in the ground, and they have the first layer of netting on them, and you see they've grown through them already. We put the netting on a week ago, and they're already through. Here's another one that I think the tuber broke off or something, and I just stuck it in the ground there a couple of years ago, and look at it. So there's the blueberries. Here's the other dahlia bed I have, and these were all overwintered too. I did not lose one dahlia in this bed, and I think I only lost 2 in the other 2 beds. So it's pretty exciting. There's some that are really bushy. This one right here is really bushy, and I'm gonna have to research that, because I don't think I need to have that many stems. This one over here has less stems, and I have pinched. This one over here has less stems. I've pinched, and so they're looking really, really good, but I think I need to remove some of the stems, because it pretty much is a dahlia bush. I don't think that's going to work very good. So let's span you around here slowly, because I am so excited about how the dahlias are doing this year. It's amazing to me. These 2 dahlias, this one, that's Who Me, and next to it is, let's see, what is it? Joey Linda. You see the differences in dahlias. They've been treated exactly the same, and that's all that's grown on that one. And then look at the one that's Who Me, and can you see the stems are as big as a broomstick. I've pinched and they're enormous. It's a giant. So I'm gonna have to rethink that one too, because it's really big. It's pretty, and it was given to me as a complimentary dahlia from one of the dahlia growers a couple of years ago. So anyway, here is what's growing. That's the chive bed. They're going to seed now. They bloomed beautifully. And back there is the pepper bed. Then there's more daylilies in the back. And I am still very glad that we put that tin up in the back, because it gives it kind of a wall. And I like the way it looks. Here are potatoes. They're blooming. And now they're starting to die a little bit, die back, and that means they're getting close to ready. But these are white potatoes on this side, and so they're blooming white. And you know, I didn't even notice that, but my husband did, so now I notice it. They're blooming white. These are red potatoes over here, and they're blooming purple. So, pretty neat, huh? That's a pomegranate. Then there's the fig trees that look wonderful, but they don't have any figs on them. And the basil bed. I grow the basil that is resistant to the downy mildew stuff or whatever, the disease and I get these seeds from Johnny's. I think they're Prospera, and they are well worth searching out and growing, because I don't have any problem with that downy mildew stuff that wiped out my crop for a couple of years. So the cucumbers are there, and they're blooming and got tiny cucumbers on them now, which I love cucumbers. They're one of my favorite things, cucumbers. And I grow Blue Lake beans. That's them right back there. Every year I have grown them for every year as long as I've been gardening, pretty much. They're just a fail-proof, easy crop, and I love to grow them. And there's the girls. They love the gardens too, and thankfully they stay out of the beds. When they were very small puppies, they did not stay out of the beds. So here's feverfew. This was a volunteer. This is one plant, and it came up in the daylilies. There it is, a volunteer there, and I probably should have moved it. Well, I should have moved it because it is quite large. I love them. I can pick them, and then they're a good filler, and then they dry very well. Anyway, here's the daylilies. See, the buds they're full. They're blooming some. I love them. Every morning I come out here really early to see what's blooming. It takes a while. This one does not open well. It's one of my seedlings. And I really don't know if it's just a problem daylily or if it's got bugs on it or something, but I don't spray anything. And this is a bachelor button. I probably bought that seed from Renee's 2 or 3 years ago, and that came up volunteer. So here we go with the daylilies. And this side is daylilies, and then when you cross the path, then we have dahlias. So I do try to keep the garden more than half in food, and try not to take over the whole thing with flowers. But you know, who knows? And this is a really pretty daylily. I'm not going to step in the flowers to get a better picture. This is little baby zinnias that I just planted the other day when it was raining, and they look fine. But there's a daylily. I think this is kind of like my yellow corner over here. That one's really pretty. So I should have some pink in the next few days. I'm trying to vary the colors and make more of a variety. out here. So there's some eucalyptus planted in that dirt right out there. Mountain mint here. And let's see, you can see, oh, one more thing I wanted to show you. Over here, where we had all the trees cut down, we planted 5 green thujas and a Florida anise tree on Saturday. Oh my goodness, it was fun. A lot of sweat. And right there in that little hole, I planted an oak leaf hydrangea that I had rooted, and it's even got big blooms on it, so that ought to be really pretty. But there's home, up on the hill. We still laugh about, I thought the property was flat when we bought it because it was so overgrown and everything, but I promise you it is not flat. Not flat at all. So that's today, and I hope that you're outside and planting something, growing something, and finding something beautiful. This is Mona from Winterpast.